Welcome to the personal side of business. Hi, and welcome to the personal side of business, where every business has a story. I'm your host, Jet Bundenwong. Today, my guest is Kelly Lee. She's the author of a book series called The Little Economist that helps children learn about financial stability. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, Jet. Thanks so much for having me.
No, I'm excited. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. So tell me, how did we get here?
So in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, I gave birth to my son. And I heard a lot about the news, in the news that people were struggling, financially struggling. They didn't have enough savings and they were losing their jobs. They didn't have money to pay for rent or food. It's crazy. So And it's like a lot of people. It's not like, 10%, 20%. It was like 40% or 50% of people who are
Yeah.
struggling financially, which I thought it was just crazy, right? So then because I just had a kid and I had some free time, so I'm like, oh, I do want to look for things that are educational, fun, and teach my kid financial literacy. So I went online, looked for things, books, whatever, or toys. I actually couldn't find anything that were cute and relatable and something interesting because I felt like, teaching kids about money or really anything should be entertaining, right?
Yeah.
They should really get joy from learning it. And I didn't find anything. And they were like for older kids and they were pretty serious. Um, and I was looking for something like for like 2 or 3 years old at the time. But anyway, I couldn't find anything. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just create my own because I used to work in finance and I am always pretty good at explaining complicated things to little kids.
Did you have any
So
aspirations before to write books? Did you have any aspirations to do that?
I have always been, I guess, on the technical side,
Mhm.
engineering, finance, that sort of stuff. I did not know that I would enjoy being an author. I did it because there was a need for me to educate my child.
Right, right.
That was it. Like in the beginning, I didn't even think of like publishing. It was just me sketching some pictures on the iPad, and I thought they were cute. I showed it to my like at the time it was like 6 or 7 month old, and he liked it. He just thought the pictures are cute. Um, and then after I finished the first book, which is What is Money,
Mm.
I showed it to my friends' kids, and at the time they were like 5 or 6. And to my surprise, they were able to grasp the concepts of saving, sharing, and spending. Like they were able to understand the difference and what each of these categories mean. So then I started. I mean, that gave me some motivation, and they really liked the drawing, the characters. So then I started publishing more. So I'm currently working on book number 9 right now. It's been 6 years.
Wow.
I don't. Yeah, I have been doing this like as a part-time, I don't know, gig or side hobby, whatever, for the
Mhm.
past since like for the past, I don't know, however many years. I only recently started focusing on this full time.
So now there's going to be two parts to my curiosity as to how this all unfolded. Was one, let's take a step back. When you started to publish the first book, what was your reference or resources that you went to and say, okay, these are steps I need to do in order to publish this first book?
You mean like the technical side of it,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
in
yeah.
how do I get it
Mhm.
published to
Yes.
like get the physical book, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought about contacting publishers, but because it was during the pandemic, I think I talked to a couple and they said that from publishing from me sending them the manuscript,
Mhm.
the documents to them approving, publishing, going through the entire process, it would take like over a year.
Oh,
And it was during the pandemic, so they were saying that maybe it will be like a year and a half. They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. And so I did not want to wait for a year and a half to get my books published. And especially at the time, it was still for fun. It wasn't like, like a career or anything. It was just I wanted to get it out so that my family, friends, and I don't know, other people, friends can enjoy the books. Uh, so I started looking to self-publishing, and then there's a whole world on how
Wow,
to do
really?
self-publishing. It
So
wasn't.
you were
It's
just like, "I'm
actually
not gonna wait.
wasn't
I'm not
hard.
gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait a
Yeah,
year. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna wait for other
exactly.
people."
I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
gonna do this. Yeah, yeah,
That's
because a
great.
lot of the I felt like a lot of things I do is like it requires iteration, right? So I'll
Yeah,
create the first version, get feedback from other kids, and then modify it and improve it. I can't wait a year and a half
yeah.
to get it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so now let me fast forward a little bit to when you're now looking at the sort of curriculum or what you're trying to teach little kids. I'm assuming you had to tailor it to kids now with all the information. I mean, you've been in finance for a while. So for you to have to explain that to a 5-year-old, it's probably a lot different than you trying to explain it to me, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, and so what were some of your methods or, thought processes for toning it down so that, a child can understand finance?
So what? So I believe in story based education.
Mm, great, great.
So kids remember things through stories and through relatable things. Uh, my characters, they're the characters in my book, they're all animals.
Yeah,
Kids love animals.
yeah,
So they're all super cute drawings of animals. And I usually find that if I tell a kid a story, they'll remember. If I tell them a concept, it's kind of abstract.
yeah, yeah,
And it's hard for them to understand unless they are really, really involved in it. Like if you bring a kid to a supermarket for them to buy something and then pay, yes, that they will remember. Okay, I think that's a great way to educate kid to
I mean,
bring them
that's
into the
almost the same
situation.
for adults. I think feel like
Yes,
even
yeah,
adults, right? There are people that are like, "Oh, yeah, that sort of makes sense to me, but because it hasn't applied to me yet,
yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna care about it until the day that comes, and it might be too late," especially in finances.
Exactly, exactly. That's why there are a lot of like in high school, some middle schools they do teach finance. But they do teach personal finance. I have some of my like friends who told me that they learned finance in high school. Actually, there was a class, but they never paid attention to it
Yeah,
because it did not apply to them.
yeah,
Right? They're like, I don't have money. I don't have a job. Why do I care about money? My parents are going to give me money, and going to college, I'll figure out later. Right?
yeah, yeah,
Like it's not like they have to do it right now, and they don't find it interesting. Like if they find finance interesting, then they would naturally want to learn about it. So this is what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to get kids interested in finance because they think it's fascinating, and
yeah,
I do think it's fascinating.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so
And
then when they get to high school, they're like, "Oh, I want to learn about this, even though I don't have this much money in my bank account. I find this fascinating. I want to learn." Right?
yeah, let me ask you something, and this is just my theory on it. I feel like people in general need to go through processes of learning depreciation, appreciation of the dollar into your account over time to really make it make sense. And I'll give you an example, right? When I just felt like when college and universities started paying out their students, a lot of people were saying that's not fair. They're already getting scholarships to play sports in school. They shouldn't be getting paid otherwise. And the way I looked at it, I'm so regardless of what you think of it, it allowed uh, uh, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old to probably lose a ton of money spending before they get to the professional level and then get millions of dollars. I'd rather have you lose $100,000 the first time so that you can understand how easy it is to do that and then appreciate when you sign a contract for $10 million. So I always felt like this what you were doing was this longer exposure to that for younger children to understand that, so that they're probably going to start to make mistakes in their teens and not really appreciate it and go, but yeah, I learned some things and now I can see it. By the time they get to college, they're now going to appreciate it even more. And then by the time they get to their own full-time jobs, now they're like already been practicing this for over a decade, and they can really understand how to use money, right? Is that sort of what your thought
Yeah.
process in this was as well?
Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. I mean, I teach little kids about
Mhm.
finance. I mean, I don't expect them to, become a financial whiz by like 8 years old, of course. It's to the primary motivation for me is to bring joy into learning about something um, that we currently don't teach in our school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I always
and
wondered,
yeah.
like, have you ever asked this question? I was not taught any of this when I was growing up, like, not
Oh
even
yeah,
close
same,
to it.
same.
And I was like, one of but we were taught all these other subjects that probably helped the mind develop, but most of it, I felt like we haven't I've barely used anything I learned in biology, right? But the one thing that I needed to learn the most, I was never taught, right? I was the financial aspects of me not just being an everyday user in the financial system, but then when you get into being an entrepreneur or now investing in stocks and things like that, it's not just about that the function of what it is. It's actually learning, like, does this make sense for me financially, and how is it going to apply to me 20 years from now, 30 years from now, right? So
Right.
why do you think that it's not valued so much in the middle school and in the high school level?
I don't know actually. I also find it fascinating. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I feel like if
I
we
can't
can.
give you an answer.
Yeah, I think, like, if this is such the reason, and that's the reason why I wanted you on my podcast, because I thought you're entering this new entrepreneurial entrepreneurial world, and you're doing this, but you're using something that you have such a strength in order to also go into another aspect that you're not familiar with, which is kind of writing a book for kids. Like, that's a whole nother that's a in my eyes, that's a really like far out type of business, because it's so hard to get into, right? I've known people that have decided to write books and they're just like, oh, this it didn't go the way I wanted to, so they gave up on it. You are now coming on your ninth book in a few years. And I think for you, it's probably determination to get that information out was probably more the driving force than than the obstacles in your way, right? You were just like, I don't care what anyone says to me, I'm going to do this, which is to your benefit. And then for you, as a finance person, I felt like you probably saw this as this all this other stuff is just fluff. I need to get from one, two, three, four, and that's the only goals I have. Did you see the business as that sense that you were just like, I just need to I just have these steps. I don't care what anyone tells me. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Pretty much. I do feel like that we as adults we overcomplicate things. So I remember I
Yeah.
used to work in finance, and I'll ask someone about some term. Oh, they'll talk about some term during meetings, and afterwards I'll be like, well, "What do you mean by this and that?" And they'll give me a elaborate explanation of
Right.
something that's related to that term, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I go back, I Google, and I realize that there are many very simple answers uh, to that term,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know why adults try to overcomplicate things. Maybe they try to impress other people or whatever. But I just feel like many things in life, it's just not just financial literacy. It's like math and science, whatever. It can all be taught in a way that is really fun and simple. And to your original question, the reason, yes, so I there's so much obstacles. I mean,
Yeah.
to publishing, to marketing, logistics, everything. And I think I was able to overcome this because I initially, I guess my income did not, I didn't rely on this income. So that's one. So I was not in a rush. I was not stressed out. It was just a hobby for me. and I like drawing. Like drawing for me is like a stress relief, and I find it entertaining. And I when I
Wait,
look at
so
the cute characters, it makes me happy.
did you do the illustrations on this yourself as well?
I did.
Oh,
Yes,
wow,
yes.
all of them. You
Yes, all of them. Yeah,
which is
that's why I'm able to
interesting
keep
because
the characters consistent.
yeah, it's interesting because I don't often find people who are math brains and then also art brains together. Like, did you realize that that's a pretty interesting combination for you to be able to have a finance background and then also have an artistic endeavor inside of you?
I think as a kid, I always liked drawing. It's
Okay.
always in me, and that's why I encourage kids. I'm like, whatever you like right now, spend time on it because that is your talent. Like everyone is talented. Every child is talented. Every kid is very good at something, right? But I did not explore that part of myself until I started, drawing, like creating these books. Um, I liked it as a kid, and then I started focusing on academics because that's what my parents told me to. They're
Yeah.
like, you gotta focus on academics to get a good job, and they'll start making money, and don't
And
uh,
now
and
you're
do
like,
well, right?
Imma show you. Imma show you. I become an artistic book writer. So they
Yeah.
probably are like, "Whoa, showed us." Yeah. Question for
So
you.
yeah.
Do you can you can you walk me through each of these books right now? Just a quick summary of the steps, and then where do you foresee as maybe the final installation of the books, or is this gonna always be ongoing?
So walk me through. What do you mean? Do you want me to show you all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
books or?
Yeah. If you could show maybe
Yeah.
or
Okay.
do you have them available in front of you to go
Yeah,
through
I do.
the
I do.
yeah, that'd
I
be great.
do. So I don't know if these words are reversed for you or not, but what is
No,
money?
yeah, see mhm,
Yeah. How to spend wisely. This is actually a favorite among all the kids. It talks about the difference between needs and wants. What is a credit card? Credit card is also pretty mysterious to kids because
yeah.
they
Yeah, they have
they
no
think
idea
that
what
they have no idea. Supply and demand.
wow.
Supply and demand explains so many things in life, and I felt like it's important for kids to understand. My 5-year-old understands supply and demand, surprisingly. So it can be taught. What is inflation? And I also have what is a stock? It doesn't talk about
Wow.
stock market, but it does talk about the concept of a stock. Like when
Yeah,
you're buying a stock, like what exactly does that mean, right? And this is what is interest and compound interest. It's a topic that a lot of people don't learn about it until like college,
mhm,
right? But it's actually very easy to explain using like just pictures.
mhm.
And the most recent one is how to make money. So
Wow.
I wrote how to make money is the reason I wrote the how to make money book is so that it's kids can focus on their talents, like focus on their
Yeah.
talents, focus on be more observant of the world, see what kind of things they can help people with, and also make money along the way.
Wow, and then what are the have do you have this planned out for the next, like, 3 to 5 books already in your head where you wanna go?
I
Okay.
don't. But the book I'm working on right now, which I'm almost done, is how to save money.
Wow.
Should
Oh.
be out sometime this summer. Yeah.
What is your wish and your for the goal of all of this to for one day, 10 years from now, what do you wish this all helps society in some way? What would be your wish?
I hope that kids can enjoy learning about finance and um, bring them happiness when they learn about they don't I don't want them to feel like this is a lesson or a chore to learn about finance. And I hope that when they grow up, obviously it'll be nice if they learn about it more, but at the same time they'll have a stable have a good financial foundation, as
Mhm,
in you cannot rely on the stock always go up. You cannot rely on that you always have a good job. But even during economic downturns, which does happen 7 or 8 times, during an average person's lifetime, that they and their family will not suffer from that, and they
Yeah,
still have enough money in the bank account to make sure everyone has a happy life.
that's great. That's great. I mean, I've been inspired by you to make sure I'm pretty educated. When I saw your TikTok, what was it? Almost probably what, a year and a half ago, I was like, this is why has anyone not done this before? And I've been following you for a while, so it's been really fun to see where when I saw like the first book and you started writing more and more, I was like, well, obviously something's working on her end, right? Something where I feel like you probably started getting feedback from people who were showing it through the kids or people who were purchasing the books and saying this is great for my kids. Were Did people reach out to you and tell you this is amazing for what you're doing?
Yeah, I do get a lot of, comments and emails, and I do appreciate the feedback, and I have, parents who told me that their 5-year-olds, love reading the books, and this is, like, these are the only books that they'll read during bedtime.
You're
I mean,
gonna
that
have
makes me really happy. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
you're
Yeah.
gonna have a generation, you're gonna help create a generation of math nerds coming out into society and be able to they're gonna be like, how come the schools are gonna be like so impressed with why these kids are so smart in math? And I think part of it, I was never good in math. I was never a math person, but as I got older, learning concepts is what attached, like you were saying, attached it to real life scenarios, right? When I was like, oh, I understand compound interest now, like because I'm seeing it firsthand
Mhm,
in
exactly.
whatever I'm investing in. And now when I'm looking at financial stuff, I'm like, man, I wish I didn't have to learn this in my 40s. I wish someone would have taught me early on so that I can have a better practice of it as my life went about. So I think this is amazing what you're doing. What
Thank you,
what
thank
are
you.
you plan to do outside of these books? Is there any thought process for you to possibly maybe do animations for this and or do speaking tours, that type of thing?
So, I just started, doing, what do you call that? Doing, like, readings,
Hmm.
at a
Oh, sure.
local, elementary school, and
Nice.
I'm looking to do more, and I used to do, like, some library stuff, like informal library things, reading once in a while, but I didn't venture into school, so now I'm gonna go to local schools and do readings, and hopefully the kids can be inspired.
Yeah, yeah, I think this is great. I like I said, I appreciate everything you're doing. I think this is gonna be wonderful. I have a feeling you're gonna make a change for young people to understand finances in such a fun way that it's gonna be a part of teaching curriculums. Like, I'm gonna make that bold statement now that I think in 15, 20 years from now, you're gonna look back we're gonna look back on this conversation, you're gonna be like, "Man, he was right." Like,
He
this
was
is now
right,
a part
yeah,
of
yeah.
curriculums in school because of how important it is, and I think of how volatile, like you had mentioned, that financial stability and foundations are in the United States. Like I think it feels like every couple years it gets crazier and crazier to try to make sense of like why are
Yeah,
people getting taxed in this and why should we invest in this? Why should we put money away for this and that? It gets if and I think because we have access to it, it makes it even more so, right? Like I can now invest
absolutely.
on my phone. It's crazy. But
Yeah.
thank you, Kelly. I want to follow up with you later on to see as things move along. How can people find your books? Can you let everyone know all the social media websites that you're on right now?
Yeah, so you can find my books on my website, econforkids.com. You can also get it on Amazon. And I'm also on social media wise, I'm on Instagram, TikTok. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
please follow her. I think this is I'll put it all in the description. And I think if you have kids, if you're an adult, you should even look into this. I think this is going to be really educational for everyone involved. Thank you, Kelly, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jet. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This is personal side of business.
Thank you.